coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
Create your job description that has these buckets, that has clarity of what your expectations are, but put the details of the how we do ministry in a ministry checklist that is repeatable, that we can do over and over and over again.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. Grateful that we have ventured into yet another month, which means another big topic. We're doing something different this year. Rather than having people hit and miss all over the place, we have 12 wonderful full-length courses with Lead Ministry. You can be a part of those wonderful courses and glean tons of great information. But of those 12 courses, we're focusing on one topic a month, the podcast, a webinar, as well as all of our communication is going to be about one key topic. Last month, it was about how to retain volunteers. This month, it's about how to train volunteers. And so we're taking each month of this year, and we're doing a really deep, centralized, laser-focused deep dive into one main ministry topic. Like I said, last month was retain, and you got to keep the good ones that God has given you. But if you're going to really retain them, you need to make sure that you train them. Imagine if you had a blueprint for your entire ministry year. Volunteers staying, teams trained, meetings that work, events that don't kill you and don't kill your team, and conflict completely managed. Well, that's exactly what the Lead Ministry membership gives you. We have 4 different distinct levels, from free all the way up to personal one-on-one coaching. Now listen, most leaders start at just $27.95 a month, and they can grow from there. With podcasts, webinars, bonuses, extras, courses, you won't just hope for a better year, you'll have a plan for a better year. Find your level today at leadministry.com. And so that's what we're talking about today. Good to see you, Vance Martin.
Well, hello, Josh. Great to be back with you.
You bet, buddy. Always a good time. Always a good time. Vance is our resident expert as it relates to many, many things, but one of your key areas of expertise, not only in preaching, I love to hear you preach, not only in teaching, love to hear you teach, but you do a great job of pulling people together, right? You got some churches that need people. You got key pastors who need a new job, and you're kind of a matchmaker through the Slingshot group. So we're grateful for you. You don't need to look any further than the Slingshot group for all of your staffing needs. You make staffing easy with those wonderful resources that you have. So we're grateful. So we're here on the podcast. We have a rhythm that we have. Again, like I said, we're doing it every single month is a key topic. Yep. And this particular month is how to train volunteers since it's the month of October. Tuesday, October 14th is the big train webinar. You're not going to want to miss that.
Don't miss it.
That's right. Don't miss the train webinar. And we do, of course, have all kinds of fun things and fun giveaways and fun stuff that you can be a part of. But we are talking about training volunteers. And guess what, Vance? It doesn't have to be that difficult. No. Training doesn't have to be complicated.
No, it does not.
And so we're going to do some quick, this will be a very, very, very practical opportunity today. So we're talking about today, training through ministry checklists. Now, I gotta say,
I saw the glimmer in your eye when you said that.
I know. I love a good checklist, Vance.
You're such a nerd. I love that about you. Of course. I love a good checklist. There's nothing like that feeling of just...
Now, of course, everybody out there, I'm sure there's at least one person, we've all heard it said before, but I get it, we maybe have heard it said, but Vance, have you ever been the guy who has actually accomplished something that was not on your checklist, written it down only to check it off?
Just to check it. Yeah.
Have you done that?
Absolutely. Back in the day, one of my executive pastors taught me how to be organized through the Franklin Covey system.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's legit.
I would be like, well, I That is something I did today. I'm adding that to today's list, and I'm checking that off.
That's right.
I didn't plan on doing it, but yes, that's going in the system, and it's. I don't have to transfer that to tomorrow. It's done today, and I didn't think about it. It is checking that off.
There is something. I don't know if it's a personality type, but there's something that brings a sense of euphoria when I start moving through my list. And so I think that a lot of people who are listening to this in a ministry context, they are check, mark, checklist people. But get this, you can actually, we talked about last month, retaining your volunteers. And part of retaining them is effectively training them. Nobody wants to be in a volunteer role that they really don't know what's expected of them. They really don't know what a home run looks like. And the funny thing is that a checklist for them gives them that sense of assurance that
absolutely
they're doing a good job and they're doing the right thing.
Well, and I think too, often what we'll do, we'll create a job description and we will create this long litany of all the things this person needs to do. And I would say, create your job description that has these buckets, that has clarity of what your expectations are, but put the details of the how we do ministry in a ministry checklist that is repeatable, that we can do over and over and over again. And that's what we're talking about today, training people through this easy step-by-step instructions. It's like when I buy IKEA furniture, you got to have the systemized pictures of step 1, step 2, step 3. And often what we're asking our people to do is put together IKEA furniture
with no checklist, without any checklists. And of course, IKEA does a great job because it's languageless. It's only pictures.
Yeah. It's great. Maybe that's what we should do. Ministry checklist, just people changing diaper. And
here's what I want to say. There are, I have actually, with the amazing chemistry show, I mean, I roll up with an elaborate thing. Okay. And when I bring in the 3-hour family experience, this is a 170 different hands-on science experiences. The church provides, wait for it, 28 8-foot tables. And I come rolling in and we set up a traveling science center in about an hour and 15 minutes. Now, how in the world could that happen? Now, I remember one person said, do you bring a team with you? And I said, no,
You bring the team.
You bring the team. But watch this. The interesting thing is my success is laminated flip cards that have a picture, have an arrow, and as few words as possible. And all of a sudden, people that I've never met them in my life. We've met for 5 seconds and I'm like, hey, here. And they're like, oh, wow, that's really going to be helpful to me. And they're able to pull off tasks with barely any instruction at all because it comes down to, I've done my work once and now other people can do my work on repeat. Ministry checklist, baby.
Love it.
Today's going to be a good one. I love a good checklist. Now, we're going to define it and we're going to develop it and then we're going to push you toward action to do it. Those are our 3 buckets that we try to hit. And so here we are. What is a ministry checklist? Well, Vance, we got some pictures on the screen. If you're only listening to this, we're going to do a good job of audibly explaining. But I like these three little pictures that you have. You can check it out on YouTube, but take it away.
Okay, so I'll go with our first picture here. It's a chef hat. And when I think of that chef's hat, what that is a symbol of is, have you ever seen the show, The Iron Chef?
Sure.
And so and the Iron Chef, they'll say, and you have to bake a cake. And the mystery, there's always a mystery ingredient. And it's like,
oh, yeah,
ink from an octopus.
Yeah. Or it's jalapenos, right? It's jalapenos.
It's something random. And then they have to make something that you wouldn't think would go with this. And they do it because why? They're amazing chefs and they can just come up with it and they know how to use it. This is often how we operate in ministry. We are the masters. We are the iron chefs. And no matter what comes, whatever ingredients we're given, we can put it all together boom, we got a cake. Here's the cake. We can make the cake and present it.
And Vance, here's the thing. I think you're right. Like something deeply resonates with me when when you talk about that we often in a ministry context are this iron chef, right? We're the kind of local expert who, no matter what comes our way, we can finagle. We've been like, oh, I'm going to go back in time, and 18 years ago, I had an experience like this, and I know how to take a kumquat and a jalapeno and season those down to be this. And it'd be like, that's just genius. Whoever would have thought?
Right.
Well, we often think of ourselves as this indispensable know-it-all, and that's fine. That's a great thing, but it's not a one-man show.
Yes. That's ultimately what a checklist is. That's not repeatable. There's only one person. That would be Josh showing up. That would be Josh showing up to do the family experience just by yourself and with no help. And you could do it. You could set up every single one of those tables and it would be done with perfection.
But it would take infinity.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yes, it would take
okay,
forever.
So we got the Iron Chef. That is this super localized expert.
Next picture here, we got a little grandma.
Yeah.
And I think about so if the Iron Chef is making the cake and any ingredient you give them, my grandma and she wouldn't like me to call her grandma. It was grandmother. That was
really.
Granny is you definitely not granny. Grandma, that's old. So is grandmother. My grandmother she could make the best biscuits. It was a good morning when grandmother was making biscuits. Now it's hard to replicate. My mom can actually make these biscuits. My mom is oldest of 3 or 6 of them. She's number 5, oldest of 3 girls.
Okay.
She can make grandmother's biscuits. And why can't she? It's because she was in the kitchen with grandmother making these biscuits since she was a little girl, and what my grandmother would do. She was
grandmother's biscuit disciple.
That's right. She knew how, there's no measuring how much flour, just by the way it feels, how much Crisco, yes, Crisco,
old school.
How much buttermilk, because I'm eyeballing it, what it feels like, and it is consistent every single time.
So, but you're telling me, though, that there is no recipe that a single person is following.
No recipe. So none of the other, my other aunts can't make these biscuits because they don't have the shared experience. So they can't do it. In the same way in the ministry context. We've got the right ingredients. We can help someone know how to do this. If we're right there next to them, we're in the kitchen, we can make the cake. We can do it if we're right there. Okay, here's what you're gonna. But it requires us to be there, right there with them, sharing our knowledge on a one-on-one. Here's how to.
It's impartable. It is impartable, but it is an extreme amount of time in the saddle with somebody right next to you. So, in other words, of all of the siblings in your home, your mom was the only one that was close enough to your grandmother in proximity to have it kind of rub off.
Imparted. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So then our final picture here is it's a flower box. We're going to represent this. You have the Iron Chef that can make a cake, give him any ingredients. Grandma that can make the cake from scratch, and she just measures the ingredients. And then there's the cake in the box. You go to the store, you take it off the shelf, and add an egg, add
this much oil,
quarter cup of oil, add water, stir
this
pour in pan, put in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes, and out comes a perfectly baked cake.
And this is one that just about anybody can do.
That's right. Anybody can do it. Why? Because we've packaged everything in such a way that all we need to do, it's replicatable, that they put this out in mass market. Anybody can grab a box off of the shelf, follow the instructions, and have a cake.
Even a preteen in the summer. Can I have an amen?
Yes. Truth. This is what ministry checklists do. It takes it from, I'm the master, I can handle any situation, to I'm right there next to imparting. I can do this with somebody, to now I've got a solution that anybody can follow along, and we can make sure that we can execute ministry at a high level, and I don't have to be there to make sure that it's happening.
And the interesting thing is that the most successful companies, they have a really, really, really good chef who they have said, bro, teach us the ways, and then they make a system. They make a system for the masses. Well, let's talk about big bucket number 2. We did define that. And Vance, I got to say, hats off, the chef hat off. Very fun way to explain that. I really love the Iron Chef analogy of the super ministry expert who can figure basically anything out.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really cool.
Absolutely. It is very cool.
Well, let's go on to number 2. Big bucket number 2 here is why ministry checklists work. Well, there's a whole bunch of these. We're going to go kind of back and forth on these, but the power of checklists when it comes to training volunteers is that it simplifies tasks into clear, actionable steps. Couldn't agree more. So
this is just, instead of, I think often what we will do in training is we'll go through things and we feel like, well, that's sufficient. I walk somebody through, I'm teaching them how to make the biscuits, and I never have to do it again. And then we wonder, well, why is the result? Why do these biscuits kind of stink? Yeah, I explained this. I trained this person. Yeah. I walked them through how to do it. Why can they not do it how I want it? Why are we not maintaining this level of excellence? Why are the biscuits flat? Why are the biscuits like a brick? I told them what to do. Well, get this, Vance. You've brought up an interesting point, because all of a sudden when we don't have the results that we want, it's less about that individual. It comes down to us. It's me. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Yes, it is. It's you. You are the problem. We are the problem. So what this does is it takes something that is simple to us. Mm-hmm. Because there's the fallacy. We are thinking, this is simple. This is easy doing this. But to others, it is complicated. And so it takes what is simple to us and replicates that into small, executable, actionable steps in the right order and what needs to be done. Okay, so Vance, it simplifies the complex. Yes, it simplifies the complexity. Now, here's the funny thing. This is a great quote that I heard from a long time ago, and somebody said, okay, this was a quote that came from a good buddy of mine, and he, every single year, I can't believe this is true. So, Vance, do you ever watch like March Madness, the Final Four, all of that? I used to. Okay. I haven't in year. I got a wife, and then I got 2 girls, and I think with every girl that I collected in my life, I had to let go of a sport. So that's so funny. College basketball was left way behind. Back in my 20s. Okay, well, so I have watched March Madness, all that, but it's been a while. Okay, well, there is a website that gets 7 million hits a day or some oddball thing. It's the March Madness website. And I'm telling you the truth, a guy that I went to college with and worked at a camp with and have his cell phone number, he is the singular force who puts together the March Madness website every single year. And, I went to the website one time and I was like, this is insane. I said, how do you build such a robust website that this many people can come here and it doesn't crash and it's always updating itself and all of this insanity? And this was his quote. He said, Josh, everything's magic until you know how it works. And I was like, that's right, bro, everything is magic. So and so all of a sudden somebody sees the Iron Chef and they're like, well, that's magic. No, it's not magic. You just don't know enough yet. And so checklists help take what you do naturally and put it in. Demystifies it, brother. Mm-hmm. Okay, one other quick thing. Vance, now you're a man of many talents, and you used to travel with your parents and do evangelism and do camps and all this stuff. And so I don't know the answer to this next question, but I got to know.
Vance, Martin, can you juggle?
Come on, Josh. Can I juggle? I can juggle while riding a unicycle. How about that?
I bet you. See, I knew this. I knew this was going to be a good one, and so I can't juggle. I can't do it. But no. Now, this is the truth. I actually, when I got into children's ministry, I was like, dude, I need to know how to juggle. I need to know how to twist every type of twisty balloon. And I just, right. And all of a sudden I was like, no, you need to deal with and dive into science and make science in ministry, because that's your unique thing. Yeah. Don't try to learn everything else. That's another whole story. That's my superpower. That's another whole podcast. However, when it comes to juggling and you see somebody, by the way, how many balls can you juggle?
So 4 is the limit. I'm not a great juggler,
but 4 is big. 4 is a whole new level than 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So watch this. What I would tell people when it came to making ministry checklists is, let's have 3 black balls and 1 red ball. And then it's going to be, and so what I want to do is I want you to slow everything down, and I want you to see that red ball and see how, with the velocity with which it's tossed to the other hand, the velocity with which it's thrown with the other hand, and just watch that one ball. And so what seems to be so fluid, and you're just doing your deal, and you're just a juggling it. No, it is a series of this is very important. It is a series of micro moves that you have mastered. And the first move when juggling is tossing from one hand to the other, hand to the other. And once you've mastered that, then you go one hand to the other and toss it into the air, one hand to the other. So it's a series of replicatable tasks that now look like magic. It looks so fluid. But if you slow it down, it's like, oh, how did you do that? Well, it was just a certain kind of a toss. Well, teach me about that one toss. Okay. So it's breaking down what looks like magic and demystifying it. Yeah. That's what a ministry checklist is. It simplifies into some actionable tasks. Okay. Now here's one that I want to speak to you just for a second. The power of checklists is that I get to think once and autopilot forever. So when it comes to creating a really, really, really good checklist, okay, you really do need to sit down and slow it all down and ask how, like, what really needs to be done next? And if you don't sit down and really think about this, you're going to blaze over the top of something. You're actually going to you're going to be like skip from step 1 to step 4 because you just do it so naturally. But you got to sit down and think once. But once you've thought and once you've put it into an order, now it's a little bit more on autopilot.
One of my mentors growing up would always used to say, if it's unless it's on paper, it doesn't exist.
There you go. I agree.
This is until you go through that process of capturing it, thinking through it methodically. Now that you've done that, now it takes on a life of its own. It's on autopilot.
But you really have to think because it's being the Iron Chef or being grandma. You just naturally do it. Well, it's not natural for anybody else. Okay. Power of checklists. It also, here's another one, helps volunteers understand and succeed in their roles. Sounds pretty straightforward, but take it away.
People want a clear scoreboard. They want a target. They want to please. No one wants to join their team and go, well, I know that this is what they want, but I'm going to do this over here. This is not. They want to know, how can I succeed? How can I do the very best that I can? Ministry checklist helps them. There's a lot of people that have performance, that anxiety that says, I've got to perform. I've got to do this right. There are people that they will be afraid to do anything because they're afraid of doing the wrong thing. And so by providing the proper list of what my expectation, you're taking away those anxious thoughts for them. You're putting them at ease and saying, it's very clear. Here is absolutely what we expect of you. This is how you do it, and in the order that you do it. Now, sometimes there isn't an order, and it's just, here's all the things that need to be done. No. You make that clear.
Yeah. This is not a punch list. This is a checklist. of step by step, methodical, do this first, do this second, do this third. I love that. And so it really does help them succeed in their role. Now, here's another powerful one. The power of checklists. You had said to me, equipped volunteers know what to do and how to do it. The more often they do it, the better they become at their roles. And so it is now repeatable.
Yeah. So when you equip them with this, you give them this tool, just like any other tool. Well, the first time that I swung a hammer, I didn't hit the nail. I might hit the wood. I might hit my thumb. The more that they're going to use this, the more it's going to be second nature. And at some point, they might become an expert so much that they know the checklist by heart.
That's it.
And they now they've got the basics, and now you've got somebody that they fully have the context and the expectations. And now they're the ones that now are improving and saying, hey, you know what? I thought of something else we need to add to the checklist.
Yes.
Here's another way that we can make this better. So what this is doing is that you're helping them become a master. You're helping them become a master of their craft. The more that they do it, you 10,000 hours to be an expert.
That's right.
And so we're adding to that. We're helping them every time that I do an action the correct way. The more repeatable, without mistake or error, that action becomes.
Couldn't agree more.
So the checklist over time gives them the correct reps, which over time makes them a more effective leader, and they won't have to think about it. Now it becomes second nature.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect. Now they're operating.
Now hang on though. You took the words out of my mouth, because I learned from a guy that practice doesn't make perfect. Practicing perfectly makes perfect. Because if you practice incorrectly, you're going to have an error. Yes. So that's what the checklist comes down to. Well, here's another one. Checklists bring accountability when you're not even there. Now, in other words, I don't have to stand by somebody when they have a thoroughly vetted checklist. Now, hear me out real quick, Vance. Another important thing about checklists, and if you're going to hand it off and not be present with them, I call it dummy proof before you laminate. In other words, once it's laminated, that means that it's gone through a couple of different people, and then people are like, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, well, where are you stuck? Oh, right here. Oh, my bad. I jumped silly me. And so
I assumed.
I assumed. And so then you have a couple people test it while it's still a paper. And then you laminate it, and it's now a codified thing in your ministry. And so then, and only then, can you hand this off and go, it is completely dummy proof.
Yeah. And so if they have a checklist, you don't have to bring accountability. Right. I know
it
I don't have to be in the room to make sure that this is happening. That's right. Because they know exactly what is expected. Now, this checklist, it could just be a steps, or if you want to take it to another level, and some roles it could be an actual checklist that we're then coming back and checking and being accountable to make sure that all the things that are on the checklist were checked. And that now I don't have to micromanage.
No. Here's the deal. Now, for the micromanagers out there who are psycho and they're like, well, no. You can't tell me I can't micromanage because I really need to. Here's where you micromanage. When you're making the list, that's where you micromanage. And you make your list super detailed. And then you're like, oh, but wait. Maybe even run it through an AI tool that says, can you condense this? I'm really good myself at condensing my own words and making them ultra brief. Nobody's going to read a paragraph. Your checklist can't be paragraphs. It needs to be not even a sentence. It needs to be a few words with a bolded, underlined word, super, super, super clear. But you can give it, and people don't even have to have you standing around. Now, how about this? Which then leads to, if you don't have to be there, guess what? Your checklist has now allowed for quick duplication and quick multiplication. In other words, hey, Connie, you can't be here this week? How about Bobby? Oh, Bobby can be here. And that checklist has now allowed for quick duplication. In other words, you can plug just about anybody in and they can pull it off. It helps with ministry multiplication. Now, Let's kind of land this plane.
Can I take that
Oh, yes, please.
one
please.
step further? Okay.
Yes.
So I would, I think there's different types of checklists also. What we've been talking about is basically a functional checklist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
we want you to go pull off these amount of tasks to execute this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen where also what can be good is a training checklist.
Ooh.
And so if I go through training and go, here's the steps of what you need to be trained, this, and this, and this. Now I have a training checklist that, guess what? I don't have to do all the training, because once I train somebody on the training checklist, now they become a trainer, and that checklist lives on. So now they can multiply and teach somebody the training. Why? Because I've created a training checklist that walks them on how to train somebody and what to train somebody on. So it's kind of like an inception thing, because there could be a checklist in the checklist. Like part of the training is to check the checklist, and I'm training you off a checklist.
No, but really, what you're saying is that at every level of ministry this could happen, and I think that's genius, Vance.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So how to build your checklist? Well, you kind of already said it. You make checklists of checklists.
Yeah, make a checklist of checklists. Where do I need a checklist? I need a checklist for this room, for my tech people, my setup crew, my infant team, my first impressions team. Okay, we'll go through and create a checklist of all my checklist. This is more of a to-do list than a checklist, but yeah, it's a checklist.
That's awesome. Okay, here's another one. Create a checklist template. Not a bad idea. Yeah. So that it is now systematized. It's not like, oh, well, this is the random checklist for this thing. No. Make them all the same.
Yeah. Now we've got something when we get the data, we can put it right in there, and we have our template. If you have a template, you're more apt to create something.
Oh, you sure are. This is systematizing your checklist system.
When you come into Canva, when you go into PowerPoint, you have a template. You don't have that. There's nothing scarier often than
a blank sheet.
Blank sheet. And to have the template, now it's just, I have the place. Now I have somewhere to put.
Couldn't agree more.
You're more apt to do it.
And next month we're talking about meetings, and we have a meeting template that you can just plug your content in. We'll get to that later. But how about this? Record your steps. We talked about this as we were talking about the silliness of juggling. I have watched this. People make so many assumptions. They're like, well, this is simple. No, you just glossed over 3 steps. That's why people are failing. Right. You need to slow it down and record all of your steps.
Well, and I'm thinking about literally, for you, and do this in the best way that suits you. It might not be writing it all down. Mm-hmm. It could be, I'm talking in the moment. Don't try and think about, don't visualize this thing. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to create a checklist for how to set up the preschool room on Sunday morning, I'm going to go set up and video how I do it, or audio, have an audio. Okay, now I'm setting out these chairs, and this needs to be at the center of the tables. And that way how you skip those steps is when you're up in your office and you're just in a vacuum.
There's a lot of truth to that, Vance. Now, I must say that I do have the power of visualization, but that's not everybody. It truly is not everybody. I like the idea of doing a voice recording of when you're doing it, or having somebody do a voice recording that you're training as you're doing it. That's huge.
Or if there's somebody that's a scribe, hey, I'm going to go do this, and you just write down every single thing that I do.
That's super important.
Do it as a team.
Because what you said is so true. That's when steps get skipped, and that's where it all of a sudden becomes convoluted. Okay, the last one I think is let experts be the experts. Talk to me.
Don't assume that you know how to do everything in your ministry the best. There are other people that might be a better expert, that have a better handle. You're an Iron Chef with about 90% of your ministry. Mm-hmm. Who are the other 10% of Iron Chefs that they are the ones that need to create the checklist for this? As
we've said before, somebody put your sorry behind in the game before you were ready, and you all of a sudden became an Iron Chef because you had a plethora of experiences. So get somebody else in there, but also there are other people who, and by the way, somebody's going to go, I'm a hot mess express. I don't think in systems. Well, there's somebody around you that
They do.
And they don't like you because you don't, and you can make their world better by empowering them to make some checklists, because everybody is wanting to put a noose around your neck, friend. So get some friends around you. Now, I was wrong. There was a fifth one, Vance. And it was, to close out, make them accessible and usable. You can't have these things hidden. Am I right?
That's right. This is not something, a file that lives on your computer. This needs to be visible, accessible, and reusable. It needs to be, what is the best tool? The tool that you're going to use.
Yeah.
That's the best tool. And so make this a tool that is, if you want people to use it, make it at arm's length. It's not far. It's on a clipboard by the door. It's on the wall, and it's, like you said, laminated. It is visible, and it's accessible.
That's right. And the other thing too is that you want to have your ministry, some of these tasks, so systematized that somebody is like, where's the checklist for this? You want to make it so normalized that they're like, okay, I feel like a fish out of water here. Where's my checklist? And it's just going to systematize your ministry. Well, Vance, this is always fun with you. You've cracked me up, right? We think a lot alike, and we have different words, but they're all headed in the same direction. Well, gang, we're grateful that you guys were here. You need some checklists. If you want to train your people and you want to actually like have a week off, you want to go on a vacation, you want to go on a sabbatical, you need some actionable checklists. So this has been a fun and yet practical episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. We hope to see you on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.